What's up, everybody? I'm Paul Hickey with NoOffSeason.com, host of the Sports Card Strategy Show. Welcome to Lefty Cards right here on the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Network, discussing the latest trends, best practices, and insider tips on sports card investing. This episode is brought to you by NoOffSeason.com, the number one place to make money flipping sports cards. Get a free 30-day trial today at NoOffSeason.com. And now, everybody, it's time for Lefty Cards.
And we're back. Part of the NoOffSeason.com sports card strategy portfolio. Lefty Cards is back with another episode with my man Interner, as we are both piping in from outside of Lexington, Kentucky. We're excited for another episode today, and we're excited to bring some stuff to you for the next 45 minutes about sports cards in the hobby and how we are and we can make money doing sports cards together. I want to welcome all of you guys that are coming from all over the world, as we've got some listeners that are not just American out there. We want to just thank you for listening. If you are piping in from a somewhere other than where English is, or at least this kind of English is your national language, we want to thank you. We always want to recognize our members that are out there and in the far and broad places of the world. We love that you are still pulling for sports cards and that sports cards will eventually be a profitable business worldwide. We believe that. We believe it's coming. We believe that it is in the near future, that it will be very possible for us to do things commonly all around the world. So, Turner, tonight we got a big game. We got Patrick Mahomes and all of the Chiefs against the New Orleans Saints. Big game, bigger games yesterday that I liked even more with the Ravens and the Bengals. I'm sure that we're okay. Yes. Wait, the Titans have an off week?
Off week.
Oh, good. You don't have to cry this
one game win streak. That's all I care about.
1 game win streak. You don't have to cry this week, Turner. It'll be okay. Derrick Henry did, however, steamroll over the Bengals in overtime for a massive Ravens win. As you know, I love Lamar Jackson. I am a Browns fan, and Browns fandom is in the toilet, maybe farther than it's ever been, and that's saying something, because we had hope, and it has gone down the toilet. So I'm waiting for Deshaun Watson to get benched, and they're actually asking Kevin Stefanski about it in press conferences now. So you know what that means? That means it's closer than we think it is, because Jameis Crableg Winston is going to be the starter at some point for our Cleveland Browns, Turner. And that means that our cards should sell for more than we bought them for. But more importantly, it'll just be a change. It'll be something new. So, Chiefs, Saints tonight. How you feeling? Which side are you picking? If I forced you to pick which side of the line, it's at 5.5, minus 5.5 Chiefs. So they have to win by at least 6 points to win the betting line. What are you taking?
I'm taking the Chiefs. It's an island game, as Andy Kaysen says, and I know that the Saints are hot, but they're the Chiefs, and I'm interested to see with Mahomes as wide receivers tonight, with Rashee Rice going down with the ACL injury, who he throws to. Maybe Travis Kelce gets his touches tonight, but the Chiefs are known to basically just show up in primetime moments, and they've done it for years now. The Saints are like the new team on the block, but the Chiefs, I feel like they're going to put them in their place tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a comeback game for Mahomes and Kelce. I think Travis Kelce will have a very good game tonight. And that is nothing off of pure speculation. I have no statistical data behind that. That is just me looking at the Chiefs thinking they got a buyback game right here. And Alvin Kamara has been disgusting lately. But I think that the Chiefs can handle it a little bit better, and Andy Reid knows how to scheme. So I think the Chiefs win as well tonight, and I think it'll be close to that 5.5 line, but I think they win by a touchdown. How's that sound for you?
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate to me. I think the same thing.
So how are you feeling? Have you watched any of the playoff baseball?
I've kept up with like scores and highlights, but I haven't like sat down to watch any games.
Last night we saw one of the most goated things I've ever seen in baseball. Mookie Betts has been terrible this postseason so far. And he hit a drive that looked like it was going to be a home run. And there's a short left field porch down there in Dodgerland. And it's going, and Jurickson Profar goes over there, the left fielder for the Padres. And he like acts like he's like grabs what could have been a home run robbery. And then he backs up and he's just looking at the crowd, and you're just looking at it. You're just like, dang, Mookie Betts finally went yard. And then after like 10 or 15 seconds, Jurickson Profar pulls the ball out of his glove after everybody was looking for it in the crowd. And it was one of the most goated things I've ever seen, because Jurickson had everyone in the entire stadium, even the guys in like that section, thinking that Mookie Betts hit a home run, that the sports, or like the HUD on the screen, the display for the game, even said like Mookie home run, and he was rounding second, and then they like Jurickson just like threw the ball in, and everyone was like, oh my gosh. It was awesome. It was one of the coolest baseball moments I've ever seen. And we will talk about some baseball cards and some recent releases that are chock full in October and late September. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But Turner, I got to start with something that I'm pretty proud of. So now that we've gone over some bantering about non-sports card stuff, I got to go in, and I just got to tell you guys how it's been for me the last couple of months. For the last official 30-day cycle, it has been my highest selling month outside of a March or an April ever for me. So as you and that's actually pretty high cotton, because what I like to say here is March and April have always been my selling months, because I used to be only in baseball, and baseball in April and March is where I would sell big prospects. So I would have like $1,000 cards being sold in March. And so typically my March and April revenue on eBay or anywhere has just been like spiked, and then everything else has been, sprinkled throughout. Well, due to our card process being a little bit different now, due to our 3-month window really being a focus, our 90-day window, as we like to call it, being our focus, the large cards that I have been pulling onto are less prevalent, but I'm selling more cards. So I have a larger transaction base than I ever have had. And this month, it's important for me to just to just give news that this is the highest month I've ever had in selling. And I'm talking gross. I'm not talking like, I'm talking like after profit and all that kind of stuff. This is a good month for me, because we have fully moved into using the formula and the process of how to roll that out, and it's become a well-oiled machine. It's becoming a new rhythm. My transactions this month, even though that it was the highest month ever, were not on 2 or 3 large cards. The process of sending cards to PSA and getting them sold almost right away has been a well-oiled machine for me. The raw to grade play from the formula has been going pretty well when I've done it. And then adding good grade ratios for the Panini Instant and Topps Now plays. My sales and my profit margins have been doing really well. Plus, I have been getting rid of cards that I have been holding for a long time, hoping that they would eventually go up. I have been using that for capital as well. So if I'm up on a card, I'm moving out of it essentially. Other than a couple, like maybe 4 or 5 different scenarios, if I'm up on a card, I am moving out of it, no matter if it is sales season or not. For instance, I moved out of a Ben Shelton Pineapple Rookie Chrome today, and it is not, the tennis tournaments are not going on right now. There's not a big Masters or whatever, but I was up $75 on this card, so I was able to move out of it today, and I hit some other auctions out on eBay today. So there's just a point of me just being in process a lot, moving transactions. But I want to say, like, all this is without selling any of my big cards that I bought at the National. that's where I would figure that this would have been for me, like one of the highest months. I've still got the big Lamar Jackson. I've still got the big Jared Goffs. I've still got the Wemby that I bought at the National. I've still got the I've still got the Bobby Witt Jr. I've still got the Jose De Paula. My big cards that I'm moving for the next 3 to 6 months are still in my portfolio, and I've had a great month. So I've been able to move that into more grading, like sending more cards to grading, because now I can afford the grading fee regularly and easier. And that cycle and that snowball is just getting bigger and bigger. And so I think it's important for us to realize at these steps, we build for that snowball getting bigger and bigger so that our steps are easier and easier to follow. And maybe with new levels and new devils, you have different problems, but some of the original problems, like not having cash flow or some other stuff like that, are not exactly apparent anymore. The only card that I have moved from my national buy was a Devon A-Chain card that I bought that was thrown into a deal. I spent $100 on a Devon A-Chain and a Deshaun Watson card, and I got both of them for around, I think I got the Deshaun Watson for around 60. I got the A-Chain for around 40. Ended up making a 4% profit on the A-Chain. Probably going to lose on the Deshaun Watson because he's my only quarterback that I invested in outside of Minshew that I'm down on this year. But I invested in Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff, Gardner Minshew, and I had one Deshaun Watson card because I didn't want to be the Browns fan that didn't believe in him a little bit. So I ended up buying one small PSA 10 of him. So Turner, that's how my post-national kind of has been August, September, and the very beginning of October. How has yours been over that period? I mean, I know we've talked about small little things, but give us an update from the last 2 to 3 months since the national, since you've kind of put some of this in place. Where are you at with all this?
Mm-hmm. I actually had a submission that me and you went over actually in our hotel room of about 22 cards or something like that I got in like the dollar boxes and stuff like that I got for like $5 to $15, and I submitted it to PSA, and I did pretty well on the submission, and I'm rolling in from that. I'm doing pretty solid. I had Dylan Cruz cards that I sold right away. Like my biggest win from that is I got in for a Dylan Cruz card, Sapphire first, for about, I think like $5 because I traded a card that I got and traded into it and had to add $5 to it. And then the $20 after the grading fee, so $25 in, and I sold it for $110.
Hey, there you go.
So that was my biggest play, and I've sold most of my other ones, and I've taken some profit in, and now I just did a formula grading submission here recently with you. So I'm doing what you're doing basically. I'm selling a lot of my cards right now that I'm making profit on, and just rolling it into into my next submission and taking the other profit with me. So it's just a recurring cycle that you got to get used to, and I'm slowly improving with that.
That's awesome, man. So both of us are in a pretty good scenario right now. I mean, moving into the winter where I believe we'll be making big plays, this is a good season for us. It's a good spot for us to be up on. It's a good season for us to be doing well in the sports card world. And we like what we're doing. Chad says, what's up, fellas? Key to flipping profit is speed. Get in and out. Nice job, Lefty. Thanks, bro. Love you, Chad. Hope you're doing well. All right. Let's jump to our first commercial break, and then we will come back. So here's Paul with a nooffseason.com promo.
What's up, everyone? I'm Paul Hickey with nooffseason.com. Why should you subscribe to nooffseason.com's premium membership? Do you like the content on this show? Want more? Well, a free 30-day trial membership at nooffseason.com gives you a Friday edition of the Sports Card Strategy Show called The Overflow Show. It's a premium podcast for members only every Friday, and you can ask an unlimited amount of questions to build your sports card investment portfolio, and I answer them for you. I put in the work, research, and do the analysis, give you the best possible answer so you can increase your chances of making money flipping sports cards. And if that's not enough reason to sign up for a free 30-day trial today, you get Sports Card School tons of premium members-only articles, and our new formula-based sports card rankings to help you find the cards with the best ROI to make money in the hobby. Sign up today at nooffseason.com.
NoOffSeason.com. We love it. We love making sports card plays. The formula has we were just transparent about how the formula has really changed both of our portfolios and both of our outlooks on what it looks like to be successful in the sports card market. And so I would love for you guys to drop that into your yearly expenses and invest in yourself, invest in your portfolio, invest in a tool that's really going to work for you. I promise it's worth it. You make your money back really fast if you are taking it seriously. And with that, it is the time of week that I love dearly. I love the fact that last week we started something where I said, okay, Turner, you've got 10 minutes and you're just going to let it rip for 10 whole minutes straight about singles. So what I'm dubbing that is now it is, instead of in Turner, you're evolving into a new space where now we have Turner time on the Lefty Card Show. So I'm going to make maybe someday I'll make a graphic and we'll be like, have a little jingle about Turner time or whatever. But it is Turner time, and he's going to give us some insight about two NBA players that he thinks are a good, worthy investment. I have his cards pulled up. So I am just going to be a support role for Turner over this next section. So Turner, anything you need me to Google, anything you need me to look up, anything you want me to put up, you just let me know, because as of now, it is Turner time.
Buckle up. All right. So my two, you can call them speculation plays if you want. You can call them whatever you want. These are two kind of flyers because they're both like proven like solid NBA players, but I expect these guys to take a next step this year. That being said, the two players that I'm going to talk about today are Lonzo Ball and Jonathan Kuminga. I'll start with Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball hasn't played since the 2021-2022 season. And whenever he was balling out for the Chicago Bulls, I'm pretty sure the Bulls had a record of around 40 wins and about 25 losses, something like that. They were top 3 in the East. They were on fire. DeMar DeRozan was an all-star that year. And that was the year that DeRozan chose the Bulls over the Lakers, and Lonzo Ball is helping him like look good basically because Lonzo is a good point guard. Since Lonzo has stepped into the NBA, there's always been hype around him, whether that be with his dad LeVar or him and his two brothers. Just he's been meant for the NBA since the start. With him being out for 2 years, basically he had to get a new knee replacement because his meniscus was basically gone. I don't know if you've heard about that, Lefty, at all. But
not really.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Lonzo, it has been I know there's just been so much wrong.
Yeah.
So you
yeah,
teach me, man.
Yeah, it's basically wear and tear so bad to the point where his bone was just rubbing against like his skin. So they had to go in there and like someone, I don't know how, but I don't know if there was a donation or like something happened where he basically has a new meniscus now, which is crazy to talk. It's crazy to think about. And that's a story in itself right there. You know, with sports cards and sports in general, people live for stories. And so that's one with Lonzo Ball. And along with that, I've been seeing some training camp videos and stuff like that. He's throwing lobs constantly. He's setting people up. He's just looking like that great Lonzo Ball point guard that we have seen before. And do you have anything to add with that?
No, I think I think Lonzo has previously been a card darling. And so when we look at that, it's like it's easy for us to speculate about how Lonzo could be really fast back in the news for sure.
Right. Do you want to pull up the card info on each player as I talk, or do you want to do that at the end?
Yeah, I can do that. So this is Lonzo's information right here. This is just the PSA silver, PSA 10 silver of Lonzo Ball, which is a 2017, which is a long time ago. Low pop count on this too, with only 274 But the previous sale is about a month ago, and it was $105. So this card at one point was selling for $600 or so. And of course, that was in 2020. We see it come down. But the last time he was on the court, would you say was February of 22?
Yeah, around
So
that
this
time.
card was at $320 in 2022, and so it's like maybe a third of that right now. So it's down 64% in all data. But if you go in the last 365 days, this card is going up. So people are believing in a tendency to rise in the interest of Lonzo Ball. And I think it's one of those things that if he comes back healthy at all, we could see this coming back to a big reality of this guy's a good role player. I mean, he's probably not a star at this point, but he is going to be a big role player. And I don't know what his contract situation looks like for Chicago, but I do know that LA needs some role players, and I could see him coming back to and his swan song appearance back with the Lakers and be a really good role player on this team.
That would be unbelievable if he went back to the Lakers. That's just because they need a good solid like pure point guard like that. But yeah, Lonzo makes plays, and that's my big emphasis. So we'll transition to Jonathan Kuminga. So Jonathan Kuminga, this is his 4th year with the Golden State Warriors. He was drafted in 2021, and he's 22 years old, so he's pretty young, and he's been a late bloomer for this Warriors team. And over time, I was looking at the stats today, and this is what surprised me the most. Over time, his rookie year, he averaged 16.9 minutes per game, and he averaged 9.3 points per game. His second year, he upped his minutes to 20.8 minutes per game, and he's right at 10 points per game, so he's already increasing. Third year, so this past year, is 26.4 minutes per game, so another up in minutes, and he averaged 16.1 points per game. So he upped his points per game by a whole six points with the minutes increased. His role is going to extend this year because, you've got guys like Clay who's gone, Draymond's getting up in age, Andrew Wiggins hasn't been himself, and even like he's going to have to do a lot of pick and rolls, pick and pops with Steph Curry because Steph Curry can't average 50. So I see that Jonathan Kuminga taking a bigger role this year because his efficiency is going up over time. I could see him averaging 18 to 20 points per game this year and being a good probably like second option some nights and maybe a third option some nights. And so that's why and he hasn't been a name that people, have really thought about a whole lot, but I think that he turned some heads this year.
Yeah, Kuminga is a guy that's very interesting. He was a guy that was a good pickup last year in fantasy, and you guys know we've talked about this a lot. If you're relevant in fantasy, generally your cards are going up in value as well, because typically that is a 1-for-1 translation for what it looks like to be popular not only in sports cards but also in general. So as you are going up in value in the fantasy world, typically you are going up in value in the sport card world. Maybe not boom or bust, like you never see some of those centers just go crazy, but as their value begins to peak and as their relevance begins to come more relevant, let's just say it that way, then you see these numbers spike. I want to give an update on where Lonzo's cap situation is at.
Okay.
This is the numbers for his cap situation next year. It's a visual breakdown of what it's looking like. So his cap hit is $20,000, but he's an unrestricted free, or $20 million, and he is a unrestricted free agent next season. What that basically means is, if I remember this correctly, he's got a big contract that can be bought down for this year. So eventually, if it gets bought down by Chicago, I believe he can sign for the veteran minimum in LA at the trade deadline or something like that. So I think we could see a sneaky sort of move away from Chicago for Lonzo Ball if he picks the ball up and is worth a dang at all. So maybe he could move somewhere that needs a backup point guard. We saw Michael Kidd-Gilchrist move around the league a lot when he was later in his career, and that guy was garbage. So I just would imagine that he's a little better than Kid Gilchrist, although he did have the same sort of hype early in his career as well. So that's my comparison. I think my projection would be that not only is he going to come back and be relevant, which could spike his value, but also notice he's 27 years old. Like, this guy could sign another contract that's 5 or 6 years long and potentially play until he's, maybe 30 or 32 if he's healthy. Like, we could see this guy being, especially if his game evolves a little bit, like if he becomes a little bit more of a Derek Fisher role, right, and like a little bit slower of a point guard. Like Chris Paul was pretty active early in his career, and later in his career he just began to pass like crazy. So if we see that from Lonzo and he continues to evolve his game into lengthening his career, I think that's a good pick. How do you feel about the money situation?
Yeah, I think you're pretty accurate with that, like talking about like him moving, because the Bulls are starting to transition to like they're rebuilding like crazy. They've got a lot of young talent right there when they don't really know what to do with. Like, for example, they talked about how they don't want Zach LaVine basically to be Zach LaVine and shoot a lot. They're trying to make Zach LaVine even like take a step back and let the young guys try to develop. And so I think that's what they're going to do with Lonzo. And of course, Zach LaVine has had trade rumors for about 2 or 3 years now. I think that they're going to try to move out these guys that are 28, 27 years old and try to push, the younger guys like Matas Buzelis, for example, pick 11 in this past draft, who look pretty solid in the summer league. And you've got other guys like Ayo Dosunmu, who played at University of Illinois, looks solid, but he's always taken a step back. And I can't think of some other younger players. They have one named Dalen Terry who's looked pretty solid. I'm trying to think of others. Well, of course they have Vucevic, who he's been long gone for them, to be honest with you. They don't know what to do with him just because of his big contract.
Yeah.
But the Bulls are slowly trying to get in that phase of rebuilding and getting a solid core.
Yeah, I think and I just looked up the numbers for the Lakers, like what their actual contract scenario is. And of course this wouldn't happen because of what I just said, but if the money was relevant for Lonzo, moving over right now to the Bulls, he would be the third most expensive player on the team behind Anthony Davis. So that's just a terrible contract right now for the Bulls. They've got to do something about that. They need to probably move on from him. And of course
Josh
they do.
Giddey's another one. Yeah.
Yeah, they do have Josh Giddey. Yeah. So Chad just actually said that in the
Giddey, that's where I read it.
Steelers are getting to get a lot of run this year. So we'll see. I mean, Josh Giddey's going to have to improve his shooting as well. So the Bulls are still a long way from competing, I think, at this point. So I think they move Lonzo for something.
Yeah.
All right. So Jonathan Kuminga and Lonzo Ball are your two picks for this year. Over the last 365 days, we've got some good, healthy data from Jonathan Kuminga coming in at an average of $190, but the last sale was $181. So that's pretty good. It's down 24% in the last 365 days. But in the last 90 days, let's look at this, that one of them sold for $250 and the last one sold for $181. So if you can get it for around $180, something like that, I think we should be able to look at that and go for it. Plus, this is a guy that is going to get some run with this Golden State Warriors team. He is, I believe did they move off of Wiggins? Did they trade Wiggins or did they move out of Wiggins?
No, they still have him.
Okay, so definitely, I mean, even towards the end of last season, you could see Kuminga becoming Wiggins. Yes. Like they were flopping in terms of roles. And so like this year, I think is Kuminga's obviously you don't have Thompson there anymore. And so they're going to be looking for more scoring. Kuminga could be a really good fit. I like that call a lot. All right, my man. Let's go to our next commercial, and then we'll come back with some releases that are coming out soon and what we want to do with them.
Kendall, are these people ready to start grading their sports cards? CGC Cards is the perfect place to slab your favorite sports cards. From their crystal clear holders to their affordable pricing, CGC Cards is the perfect stop for your grading needs. Go to cgccards.com to start grading today.
All right, so we just ended Turner Time, the second official Turner Time, where Turner officially made a stamp for Lonzo Ball and Jonathan Kuminga being the two basketball players that he enjoys going into the 2024-2025 basketball season, and how they could potentially be quick flips before the in-season tournament, most likely, as they could both be getting minutes, and they both have been card darlings in the past. Today, or now I want to roll into I saw a tweet earlier today about the release calendar of baseball, and I saw a lot of people saying, which one should I get into? Which one should we do? There's a lot of cool parallels from some of these guys. And even not on this, there's the 50-50 collection from Shohei. Bless me.
Bless you.
There's the 50-50 collection from Shohei. We've had a lot of people reaching out to us about which one we're doing. Are we making any plays about this 50-50 set? I am currently not. I actually told a guy today, sell everything, Shohei, that you own. Like, just get out of everything. And he's like in one lot? And I said, no, put everything on auction today. So Ivan is going to be a happy man later this week, as he is selling all of his Shohei, supposedly, this week. So the release calendar coming up this month, either that they released this week or is coming up later in the month of October. Now, listen to this, Turner. We've got Bowman Chrome Mega Box Baseball that released last week. We've got Panini Prism Baseball that released last week. And then we've got earlier this week, we had Topps 206 Baseball. In 2 days, we have Bowman Sterling. We have Topps Update Series Baseball. We have Allen and Ginter Baseball. We have all these coming out in October. So what do we do about it? Well, there are some cool parallels that I like in some of these. So I'm not saying that there wouldn't be eventually one or two cards that I would end up buying because of their investment potential. But we have to reiterate this a lot because we have a continual free flow of audience coming into us for the first time. We do not advocate in buying into wax, whether that is breaks or whether you're buying boxes to rip, because you're going to be able to spend that money a lot better if you're going out and buying singles, because the way that the singles market is going to be, you're going to pay about the price of the box if you're going to go buy some of the highest singles in that box. I'd rather have one card that I know I'm getting versus a million cards that I'm going to have to figure out what to do with once they get into my house. And so I do like some of the Bowman Sterling cards. Topps Update Series does typically do some cool stuff with rookie autos and stuff like this. Bowman Chrome Mega Box has some good players in it. There are some players that I am invested in, and when you can look back in a couple of episodes ago in the Sports Card Strategy Show, Wednesday show, that Paul and I talked about some guys from the most recent release, specifically DeVries. He's the guy that I like the most. And there's also another catcher that I'm on. So I'll just give a plug for you to go watch the Wednesday episode from, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks ago on what our Mega Box Chrome play is going to be next year. And that's a little hint. We go back a calendar year and buy the guys we liked from the year before, because they end up being at a premium price because the new boxes are coming out. Playoff baseball is here, and we are seeing how that is going. Like, it's just it's so electric. You see, like right now, the Tigers just went up 2-0 on Cleveland today. Like, that's just not something I expected to see. But we're seeing these guys that were prospecting a couple of years ago with Riley Green and Torkelson and then even Colt Keith and Jace Young. We're seeing these guys get on a team that's relevant. We knew this was going to come at some point, but we didn't think the pitching was quite there yet. Scooball said, hold my beer. I am coming into the game, and I'm going to put this team on my back, and we are going deep in the playoffs. They could potentially beat the Cleveland Guardians in this series and be in the division series against probably the Yankees or potentially the Royals. I doubt it's going to be the Royals, but the Yankees might have the easiest cakewalk to a World Series that I've ever heard of with the Royals and the Tigers, because they both were second and third in the Central. So right now the teams that are left are the Yankees and the 3 teams from the AL Central, which is crazy. But the series to watch right now that's really fun and has a lot of card potential is the Padres and the Dodgers. Like, this is just prime baseball. I would tune into only this matchup. The Phillies Mets matchup, not interested. Not interested in the Tigers Guardians. I'm just interested in the score line. I'm interested in the Royals because of my Bobby Witt Jr. investment. But you could not tell me that this is not the World Series. I think this is the World Series. These two teams are the best two teams in baseball, and watching these two teams go at it with guys like Shohei and Mookie Betts and Machado, and you've got Tatis Jr., and then you've got all sorts of great players with, like, it's just all over the place. And the Dodgers have actually built a roster that is compelling to watch these days, not just a bunch of superstars that are just not really worth the money. These are superstars that are really likable as well. Freddie Freeman as well is just super likable. When you got Shohei, Mookie, and Freddie Freeman, like, those are three guys that people love to love. So I just like what I'm seeing out there.
Along with Kershaw.
And you got Kershaw, and this is probably some of the last seasons we're going to see Kershaw. We've already seen Verlander potentially soft retire earlier this postseason. I actually was at the last Verlander start, so I might have seen the last Verlander start of his career, which I think I'm going to cry a little bit about that.
Did you keep that ticket?
What'd you say?
Did you keep that ticket, or was it on the phone?
It was on your phone, just
shoot.
everything else these days. So let's jump to another quick commercial. I want to talk about the U.S. men's national team and how I think Pochettino could spike the U.S. men's national team value. And then I'm going to talk about a rebuttal to something that I said last week that Turner called me out on in person. I'll be right back.
Yo, Lefty, we use a lot of data, don't we? Well, I just want everyone to know that they can get the same data we get by signing up at marketmoversapp.com. Sign up at marketmoversapp.com today, but use the promo code NOOFFSEASON to save 20% after a free 14-day trial. That's marketmoversapp.com, promo code NOOFFSEASON.
All right, so we got 10 minutes left in this show, and there's a couple of things that I want to address. Every once in a while, I feel like there's just a little too much hate for the United States men's national team. Now, sometimes it is well-deserved. Right now, though, I think we're at the point where we could see some potential grow really well. Pochettino is the new coach for the United States men's national team, and he's coached with Chelsea and with Tottenham. He's been successful at Tottenham. You could say that it wasn't really his fault being at Chelsea, but he's a high caliber manager, and he's definitely the highest caliber manager that the United States team has ever had. Now, what does that mean for Cards? I think that means a couple of things for some of the big players. We are seeing some of the United States players go back and forth in respect in the soccer world. For instance, Pulisic is having one of the best seasons that he's ever had, and he's definitely a star on this AC Milan team. But he is still getting disrespected by some of his teammates. He is supposed to take the penalty kicks, and he has already been deemed by the coaches that he is the penalty taker. He's 11 for 11, by the way. They got a penalty kick yesterday, and his teammate called him off and then missed the penalty. So it's just like, this is just world-class hatred for a guy that if he was not American would be on the top list of everybody else. I believe he has unsolicited hatred because he is American, but he's a guy that is definitely worth being in some of the top 20 conversations in soccer. I believe he is one of the top 20, top 30 players in soccer, and he's definitely on that 25 line somewhere. Now, you can convince me he's lower. You could also convince me he's a little higher. That's a conservative thing that I'm taking, about 25-ish. I believe that that he is right in there. So I believe he's right in there with some guys that his valuations are much higher than his. So am I still excited about my Pulisic investments? I am. And let me show you where these are at right now. I'm going to add this back to the stage. This is a card that I already have. This is a card. Whoops, not this one. There is a PSA 10 of this card that is currently.
You still have that.
I do have this. The most recent one sold was a buy it now for $12.75. I am into this card for $1,800. Not this one. I don't know why this one.
Go view original.
Sorry. Sorry, yeah, I wasn't reading. Yeah, so the last one sold for $12.75. This one sold for when did it sell? Let's see.
Yeah, scroll up a little bit. Go back up.
Tuesday, September 24th. So this sold about a month ago. And Pochettino probably hadn't announced yet. I think this is still a good investment. I think Pulisic could be one of the best investments over the next couple of years. Now, do we buy? Am I saying go out and buy him? Not necessarily, but I'm defending my case, and here's why. Because we are focused on 90-day, 3-month flips right now. And this is not a 3-month flip. AC Milan is probably not going to do enough to make him a high-rise value in the next 3 to 6 months. This is probably a 6 to 12-month play. But I'm excited to still have this card because I believe that Pochettino could make this men's national team relevant, and I know that this guy is going to go down in history as the best United States player of all time. Now, I will go down on record every 5 or 6 months saying Pulisic is a good investment because in the long term, I believe he is. In the short term, I don't know if I see his value change, but in the long term, I still feel confident that Pulisic holds, and I am holding my cards for that long-term value, but I also would still not mind buying more into this guy. This card is at $12.75, and it sold less than a year ago for $1,800. That is a good potential point to rise back up to. I think this card could go up above 2,000 eventually one day because the pop count is low, and we're seeing that this card is a kaboom of a guy that is the most highly desirable card of a United States men's national team player. The only thing that could potentially bring him off of the high valuation from my perspective is if Pochettino eventually decides that he's not going to be the captain, which I don't think that's going to be the case. He's clearly got so much more quality than anyone else on the team, and he's still pretty young. And or unless there's an injury, and we never really mark ourselves for that. As we talked about last week, we don't expect injuries. We just deal with them when they happen. All right, the next thing that I will talk about is this is something that Turner called me out on in person the other day. You heard me talk about the Panini Instant plays on a bunch of different episodes, and we've talked about some of the most profitable things that we've done this year have been Panini Instant plays. So I went back to the well on this one. I think this is a beautiful card. She's got both of her jerseys on. It is like one of the coolest Caitlin Clark cards that I've seen yet. And it is her Rookie of the Year card, which I believe will go down as one of the most circulated cards outside of her Draft Night card. I still think the Draft Night card is the most popular one, but I think this could end up being number 2. When you choose the 25, if you guys have never heard us talking about this, it ends up being $104, which breaks it down to about $4 a card. I believe that this card is going to go down as one of the most highly circulated cards for Caitlin Clark. And I said in the episode last Wednesday that I am not going to be buying into more than 25 of or more than one grenade at a time, which is this, as we have said, the 25 count. I am not buying in for more than 25 of any of the Panini Instant cards going forward because 50 just seems like too much. Well, this was the exception for me. I went back to the well with 50 cards here because I am going to grade all 50 of them because even though that's a big investment at $20 per card, so $20 time, let's see, 24, 20, let's just say 25 times 50. Now, that's a $1,250 investment on this one card. Do I believe that these will sell for higher than $25 slabbed up? Absolutely, I do. And I believe that my process of moving them from PSA has been so liquid that I think I can make a 12. I believe that I can double this into about $3,000 if all those grades come out well. And I believe I'm going to do that. So I'm gonna probably keep a couple of them because I like this card. And as you guys know, I keep somewhat of a trophy room, and I usually keep 1 or 2 of the cards that I make big money off of. And so I put them in the vault, and they're kind of just there for me going forward to remind myself of what I've made money on. For instance, I kept an Indy Rodriguez auto from way back in the day. That was my first big purchase and my first big move that I made. And this is one that I probably will keep as well. What do you think, Turner? Do you think this card is worth investing in? Do you think it's just another Panini Instant play, or does this one strike you as a little different?
You know, I've got 2 things about this, and one of them I'm going to pull up on because I looked up before our podcast on here. The right now the resale for the pre-sale, sorry, for the Panini Instant Kalen Clark, which this card is still on Panini site, is going for around $6.50 to even like someone just sold it for $8.99. So I think, with that being said, that you've convinced me. And what I am probably going to do is what I just did with the Arch Manning cards. I'm going to try to sell about 15 of them, break even on that, and submit 10 to PSA.
Look at this, brother. I just want to put this up there for just now. This is not even possible, by the way. This is clearly Photoshopped. Someone is already selling a PSA 10 pre-sale of this card for $150. Now, that is confidence. That would be meaning they would have to be assuming that one of the 50 that they send is going to come back as a PSA 10, and they want to immediately get back $150 of their investment. Now, that I like. I like that investment. But that means that investment is like, not only is it, 2 to 3 months out from when these cards get in our hands, but then it's probably 90 days beyond that of when that PSA slab is going to get back. So whoever bought this from Road of the Collectibles, you are maybe 6 months out from even potentially seeing this card. So good on you for getting it at $150, because I do believe that this card ends up selling for much higher than $150. And they're not alone. There's another one. 149.
Both of those eBay accounts have over 1,300 reviews.
65. That's crazy. 150. These are crazy.
That was the same person, Road of the Collectibles.
How do you feel about this, Turner?
That's very bold. I'll say that, because
there's another one.
Yeah, same guy. Again.
There's another one.
Yeah, it's the same person every time selling them. So
how many has he sold?
I'm wondering if they either know it's someone at Panini.
Dang, look at that.
Goodness gracious. And
out of 99 Rookie of the Year auto.
So that's kind of like your all's one that you got like with Arch, but with Caitlin Clark. Could you imagine making $3,500 off a $250 investment or whatever they sold it for?
That's crazy. So this person bought a lot of 100.
A lot of 100 for $540.
So that means that the person made, I mean, that's good money, actually, right?
I don't know. I think they're still making profit, but they're probably only they're still making about $100 profit.
They're making
140.
They're making 130-ish before the percentage is taken out from eBay. So probably about $100. Not bad though, honestly.
It's not bad. That's
for a play that you were already going to make.
ROI.
And literally, the thing is still open. It's open for.
That's not emphasizing. That's not emphasizing. Is all these pre-sales are going on, and this card is still on Panini site
for $4.
Yeah, I'm probably right after this pod probably going to buy these. Like I'm setting my foot down. I waited. Yeah, I'm waiting. I waited. I think I needed some more convincing, and also the Panini Instant plays have been good to me. I'm like, in this little season where we've started to do Panini Instants, I'm 2 for 2, and possibly 3 for 3, depending on how my Jalen Milroe plays, which they sadly got upset the other night. But besides the point, on my bulk Panini Instant plays, I'm 2 for 2 so far. So I'm gonna keep it going. I'm going to get these right after the pod.
Love it. So that's what we're going to wrap up our episode with today. I told everybody that I would be silent about this to keep the pop count low. We have 6 total viewers, so I doubt we are just going to go bananas. But Turner is at least going to bring it up by 25 cards at least. So Smitty says, "My guy Kenny." That's my boy Smitty from high school or from college. Love him. All right, guys. Thanks for being on the show. Rusty Immigart, Chad, Smitty, thanks for commenting on it. Finally catching a live sesh. Rusty Immigart says, "Wish I was live with Paul on the Sports Car Strategy Show today." It says, "Rogers hate session." Love watching you guys get excited. All right, Rusty. Rusty's the guy that we met, correct? That's like, let's go.
No, shoot.
Who was that?
I'm blanking here. Oh no. You put me on the spot and I forgot.
Nah, it doesn't matter. I thought it was Rusty and McGart. So, all right, man. Rusty says, "Great show, guys. We love you, Rusty. Even with your Aaron Rodgers smoking
a joint
in a Packers helmet." I love the Jets logo, by the way. I'm just going to go out and say it. I would wear a Jets hat. I might buy one just to wear it on the Sports Card Strategy show, so it irritates Paul. So
this would be your last one.
It would be my last one. It'd be my last show ever. All right, man. Turner, I love you. Thanks for Turner time today. I think you made great picks. For all of you guys out there that wanted to wrap up, we talked about the baseball plays of the month and what we are waiting on and how we are not buying any of those whacks. We are still waiting on Jared Goff and Lamar Jackson. This month was one of the biggest months for us, and our process is going well for not only me, not only Paul, but also Turner as well. It could be for you. And the Caitlin Clark Rookie of the Year cards, I convinced Turner to go get 25 more and still invest in Christian Pulisic. Have a good week. We'll see you guys soon. Go Pack, go, as Rusty Emigart says. And Chiefs by 6 tonight. We'll see you soon. Peace.
Lefty, great work on today's show. Thanks for supporting Lefty Cards, part of the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Network. Get a free 30-day trial today at NoOffSeason.com to check out our formula-based sports card rankings to help you make money flipping sports cards. Subscribe to Lefty Cards on YouTube and follow us on socials by visiting leftycards.com.